This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
We don't have video for anyone who's watching, but that's okay. Yes, welcome everybody to the Easthampton City Council Finance Committee meeting for February 25th, 2026. It's 5:40 p.m. We were slightly delayed because of some technical issues. Got the whole committee here, plus Mayor Salem Derby. So first thing is approval of minutes. I know you did send minutes. Could you remind me what the dates were for those?
November 26th, January 14th, and January 28th.
Okay. I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes for the aforementioned meetings.
So moved.
Okay, motion a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Minutes are approved. Okay, for new business, we have two items. The first of which is a interdepartmental transfer of $20,000 that is coming from the mayor clerical salary and is being transferred to city attorney professional services. Mayor, would you like to?
Yeah, so if you remember, when we passed the budget, there was some controversy around hours that have been cut. And one of the actions the city council took was to cut the budget by $75,000. And this specific cut was from the line item for attorney services. So this is just an appropriation. We did a $20,000 one a few months ago. So we've reached that, and now we need some more. So we just are going to go for another 20,000 until we run out, and then we'll come back for another appropriation.
Okay. Councilors, any questions on this appropriation?
No questions. I remember.
I don't. So just to reiterate that, city council cut. You said 75,000. Yes. There was a previous appropriation for 20,000. This is the second time that we're coming to for that same appropriation. Yep. Gotcha.
So given that, and given what the budget was, and given that I've never had a city council year where we didn't run over, I'm assuming that you're anticipating we'll probably be having another conversation about this before the end of the fiscal year.
I imagine there will be. I'm hoping that we can mitigate those costs as much as possible. But there probably will be another appropriation down the road. You know, I know it was 75,000. I'm hoping that we can stay under that for the year.
Okay. Well, if there's nothing else, then I would entertain a motion to recommend this appropriation to the full council.
So moved.
Second.
Motion a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So that's simple enough. Next up, we have a request to create a stabilization account for healthcare costs.
Yeah. So, as you might be aware, there are stabilization accounts that we have created in order to be able to, like, there's a tax rate stabilization account. There is, you might not know about this one, but there's a dental stabilization-ish
It's a revolving
account.
Yes.
So what we're trying to do is looking at the impact of health insurance on the budget. What we're trying to do is to have a place where we can have a dedicated pool of money to help support the budget when we are overrunning healthcare costs because of unknown variables. So basically what this would be is a place where if there are any surpluses within any of the insurance bylines, which probably not, but there could be in one or two of them, to bring that over into the healthcare stabilization account, and then to look at appropriating a certain percentage from free cash into healthcare stabilization. So we have an account that's dedicated to offsetting the impact of rising health insurance costs on the city.
I have a question, but first, councilors, any questions?
I just had a question. So where would the funds be coming from that would go into this?
Mostly free cash.
Okay, free cash. I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a deduction from.
No, we can't do any deductions. Whatever we deduct from employees' paycheck has to be paid out to the third party.
Mhm.
City cannot withhold any of the dime out of that. The other one, which we were also looking into and discussing with external auditors, is at the end of the fiscal year, if there is a surplus into the unclassified budget for health insurance, or like insurance, because it has health insurance, dental insurance, and life insurance is paid out of that. So if any surplus is there at the end of the fiscal year, it's going to close to free cash. They can take that amount and transfer it into this healthcare cost stabilization account. And if anything, any other appropriation we can put out of the free cash, that's what we're going to try to help with the huge cost increase in the health insurance.
And typically, I know it's varies, but at the end of the year, how much is usually in those accounts, if any, that would go to free cash? I know it's a ballpark.
Yeah, it's a bit, it varies drastically. I have seen up to $400,000 in that account, and I have also seen 20 grand. And I have also seen department go asking for a final appropriation before closing the fiscal year. So it really varies, and with the way the health trust is going at this point, I don't know if there is a plan for a healthy reserve. I know that there is a plan for them to have a healthy reserve, but I don't know how long it's going to take them to get there. And once they get there, does that mean that there's a reduction in the premiums which we are paying? So it's like this crisis is new to everybody, and we're just trying to play with the players in the whole game and see where we can make more sense with the finances. So that's great to hear.
So that mostly makes sense to me, I guess. So like, my one question is for what you're talking about, do we need specifically a healthcare, like, couldn't you just do that out of general stabilization?
You could. And, I think the reason why we want to create a healthcare stabilization is so this pot of money would be protected from, it's like priorities stack up. And, triage is this kind of ongoing assessment of what are the most pressing priorities. I think that it does make sense to have this in its own account, because it is its own kind of pressing issue that we don't want to get stuck, be like, oh, we have these other stabilization things that we need to do, and now we don't have enough to cover, so this would be a dedicated pool of money that is directed specifically to help us manage the increase in health care costs.
Here's another question for me. So let's pretend that we get some of these accounts that have excess funds, and we put it into this particular account, and we're ready to go if something happens. And then the state says, we're going to have a single payer healthcare system. Boom, we're going to do that. And that money is now in that account, and it can only be used for healthcare costs. What would then?
So what we can do is we can use that towards our budget lump sum, either that, and if it's like not pick up the amount, I can the mayor has to come to the city council to rescind the account, and then once the rescission is approved by the city council, the whole amount is going to go back to the general fund.
Okay, correct.
There are mechanisms to move things out of a stabilization account. They're just a little bit extra hard versus like a standard appropriation. But like, if it makes sense, we can totally do it. Okay.
I mean, I think, it's like, as you look at it, I think one of the real pieces here that is important to acknowledge is that, we are going to be looking at potentially significant increases in health insurance costs. So having a dedicated stabilization account, that way it's an easier mental transfer to be like, yeah, we're going to offset those costs with the healthcare stabilization, as opposed to general stabilization, where, like I said, there's competing, interests for those types of funds. And it just makes it just a little cleaner. I mean, if this didn't pass, we would still be able to put money away into a stabilization account, hopefully. But I think that what it does is it creates a clean barrier. So we know that these funds are going to be specifically, tailored to helping us offset this known kind of looming crisis.
Okay.
Quick question, just to help get me up to speed on the way that kind of, health insurance works within the city. In terms of these costs that might come out that we might use this stabilization fund for, is that sort of, just to clarify, is that going towards the city's contributions for people's premiums, or is this like somebody has sort of a health emergency come up and, the city is in any way, paying for part of that? Can you just kind of explain that?
So this would be for the city share of the premiums. So right now the city is a 75-25 split with employees. So the city pays 75%. As we look at this year, we're looking at about $1 million deficit. And as we're budgeting now, we're looking at, about a 13% increase in the next fiscal year. And so, this deficit's not going to get smaller. And so it's going to help the city manage and offset those increasing costs.
And with the decision made at the trust today, I think we're going to look into the premium base too. So that's another thing which is going to come our way. So, but it's too early to determine that at this point. We'll find out.
Right.
We need to do the premium back.
And so what Hale's referencing is the trust did vote today to adopt a 12.68 percent increase. But what it does is it's a plan change, and that means that there's going to be deductibles and higher copays within the plan. So there's pieces of this that are kind of impactful. So one of the pieces is this has to be impact bargained with the unions in a very specific way, because there's going to be plan change. The other piece is that part of this, the city's going to realize, because of the increase to employees' deductibles and copays, the city's going to realize about a $250,000 savings, but we're going to be giving a significant portion of that back to the employee through like a premium holiday, or something like that. And so that money could be put into this stabilization account to hold it before, in the meantime, before we do the premium holiday. So there's this account has a couple of different uses. It's and correct me if I'm wrong, right? We could put that money into this stabilization.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was discussed with the external auditors too, and he was fine. The idea, he said, is go for the appropriation before the fiscal year ends. Whatever is in there, you just transfer it to the stabilization account. But when I talked with the Human Resource Director, Emily, what she said that her timing for the bill is going to be last week of June. So we can't do it. So I said, I'm not going to rush and get an incorrect amount or not, deficit spend into the budget and then raise it on the taxation. I'm just going to let it close to free cash, and then we'll take that money and whatever we can contribute out of free cash, we'll contribute. So.
Okay.
But yeah, this could be like what we are learning is the option which trust took this morning. What's going to happen is 75% is, let's say, $250,000, $260,000. That's 75%. 25% which employees are contributing, and let's say there is another 20 grants to that. So then you add that to the 250, which is 270. Now you take that 270 and 25% of that savings needs to be reimbursed to all the employees, including city and school. And then you can do two ways. You can do a flat rate, holiday premium, or you do prorated, which is going to be a payroll question. And yes.
Well, I'm glad you're in your job.
Me too.
Jeez. All right, well, this makes enough sense to me. Councilors, do you have any other questions, comments?
I think just a comment, right? Like, obviously, we've used words like looming, crisis. And so I think I'm in support of this in part because I think it's going to be important for us to separate out our funds so that we can best manage them as opposed to one lump sum and then trying to figure out what goes where. And I know that we have people who can do that, but it just makes it cleaner, I think, for residents, the council to kind of see kind of how that's kind of being managed. So I appreciate the thought that's gone to helping people understand how city finances are going to support city employees in this particular case.
Makes sense. Yeah, I'll reiterate that. I appreciate, we're getting at it ahead of, it's already, kind of an issue that we're facing, and you're sensing, more complications down the road. So I appreciate trying to get ahead of that and create a way to keep things stable on the employees' side in terms of what they're experiencing.
I guess the one thing, I got this memorandum, but is there specific like motion language I'm going to need to, or it's been a little while since I've created an account.
Was there the memo? Do you have,
I have the memo.
can I see that?
There should be some pursuant to MGL something. If you don't have I mean, I can make sure that before the meeting you have
This paragraph.
Okay.
Yep.
It's gonna be the motion.
The middle paragraph pursuant to MGL.
So I guess I would entertain a motion that pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 40, Section 5B, the City of Easthampton establishes a healthcare cost stabilization fund for the purpose of creating an alternative funding source to assist with offsetting the City of Easthampton's potential future increases to the cost of employee health insurance. Funding sources will be identified and allocated as necessary to maintain financial stability.
I would move to make that recommendation.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so that's all our new business. I think the only thing that's do you want to talk at all about the report you sent us a few weeks back? If it's easier, we could discuss it at the next meeting.
Okay, I mean, I could discuss for this here. I can explain. It's just I need to see it. I know exactly what it is, but
Sure.
I can do either way.
I think it might be useful just for public's sake if we were to have it up on the screen. So,
Do you have it?
I do. Now, whether or not I can share, let's see.
right.
I can probably.
Yeah, I definitely do not have the ability to share right this second. I don't know if you can fix that.
Yeah, I think I can. There you go.
Okay, great. in that case, I think I might just would you prefer the PDF or the spreadsheet?
PDF is okay.
Open it separate to get it. So I'm going to be working out the browser on both things here. With that. Okay, sorry. I am now being blocked from sharing, but I think it's on my end, not on your end. I apologize for the contribution to our technical difficulties today.
Uh,
I like almost had it. Okay. I don't know if I'm going to be able to resolve this right this second.
Well, we can pick it up
Oh,
at our next, we could pick it up at the next finance meeting. But yes, that probably makes the most sense. So in that case, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Real quick, there wasn't anything about that other agenda item that we have an update on, correct?
The
Rescinding,
Yeah.
yeah.
motion to rescind.
borrowing.
And if not, I would just be curious. I'm not sure I have like a whole lot of context about that because it's been on there kind of since prior to my joining. And
Oh, borrowing rescission?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
I'm
I was
just
wondering if there was some-
looking for a tiny bit of context on it.
Oh, okay, I can give you that information. So the ones which are here for city space restoration and Honeywell energy conservation project. So when there was a issue with the HVAC system in this building, we went and got the authorization, if I remember correctly, about $6.8 million. We end up not borrowing the full amount. We used a lot of ARPA funding to supplement. Instead of going and borrowing, we used the ARPA funding to reduce the cost. In two bands, we end up borrowing $1.4 million and change. But the authorization is still there. So technically, as per the financial policies, mayor and the financial team has authority from the city council that we can go and borrow up to that amount for that specific purpose, which shows as a liability on our financial calls when we go for like borrowing out in the market. So what I'm looking to do is to reduce that authorization so it doesn't look like a liability on our financials, because we'll be getting into finalizing K through 8 school final borrowing. MSBA is going to do the closeout by end of April. So sometime I think in July, we'll go for closing out that debt exclusion borrowing. If we can show that the liability is not there, it would be better for us to get a better rate. And maybe we can, like, there's another one for $3 million, which is for Ferry Street is on the table right now. There's another one for, I think it was $2 million or $3 million for Old Town Hall also.
Yeah.
If we don't need that, then we should rescind it because that brings the liability down onto our books. I don't have every information in my hand because there was a revolving door in the Treasury office. And then, of course, there's a change in the clerk's office too. Financial advisor is able to give me details, but I do not have full-blown understanding what went in and what I can tell what is coming out, but what was the actual authorization and what we borrowed balance needs to be rescinded. So what I have asked multiple times at this point, but they're busy with the audit of our external auditors to give us this information so we can rescind. The reason it went on to the city council agenda is that we wanted to show when we borrow for Ferry Street that these are the ones which are going to come out of our list. Close just happened 2 weeks ago, unfortunately, which should happen in October, by the way. But
No judgment here.
no, thank you.
It's all approved.
Yes, it is all approved. So now I can work with our external auditors. I will remind them again that I still need this information. They're going to give us the information. Me and Brooke are going to sit together and decode the language which was used by previous administration and the Treasury Office, and see if we can rescind the amount which is not needed. And the perfect example is like this HVAC thing is like, we don't need $6.8 million. We only borrowed 1.4. We're done with this project. So let's rescind that and make room for
The next
getting a
one.
better interest.
Yes.
Getting a better interest.
That makes complete sense.
Yeah.
So,
Yes, no.
so once the external audit is done, you should be getting some information about that before.
Yes.
tomorrow. So, yeah, I guess we'll just keep it on our agenda and let us know when you're ready to move forward on it.
Thank you.
The external audit is pretty close.
Yes, it's pretty close. So this morning, actually, Tom said that it should be done by a week of March 9th.
Perfect.
Draft at least will be given to us at that point.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay.
We do not have
March
any
9th.
draft. Yes. Okay.
Sure.
But we do need that finalized before, so here's another thing. Federal Clearinghouse is another platform where we have to upload our audits. And if we don't upload by March 31st, our federal funding gets jeopardized.
Don't want
So
that.
in the past, no. So in the past, when we were not able to provide the audit reports, mayor had to request an extension at the Federal Clearinghouse. I did ask Tom Scanlon, who is our external auditor, is like, do I need to ask mayor to ask for an extension? And he goes like, no. So that means if it's not March 9th, it has to be March 31st.
Okay.
Great. Well, I appreciate that context. I understood like 60% of that, but there's definitely things you added that I did not know. So that's super helpful.
It's everything is like a personal finances standpoint of view. Municipal is just adding more language of the legality, and it's a bigger dollar amount. And that's how I see it all the time. So.
Okay. Well, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.